Good evening, guys. So this video I'm going to make is just an impromptu video of something that happened to me throughout last week at school. There's this course I was doing in school. This particular course has to do about child's poverty. So I try to translate it because I do the courses in Swedish. So it has to do with child's poverty. So when we are reading we had a lot of theses to read, a lot of books that a lot of professors has written. So we had a lot of them to read. And all of these theses, all of these books, were just pointing out on that the majority of child poverty, 99% of African kids are living in child poverty. When I mean child poverty, like they are not able to afford the essential things of life, food. They don't know when they will have, for example, some kids don't know when they will have the next meal for the day. They don't know what they're going to have for tomorrow as meal. They are not even sure of food in their house. They are not even sure of clothes, to wear clothes according to the weather, maybe when it's cold, when it's raining, when it's harmattan, or any season that they need to change different clothes. So this is what is classified as when a child is living in poverty, in abject poverty. It's not only when you see kids on streets begging for money. These kind of things, like kids in their home that don't really have anything, that don't have these basic things that I mentioned here now. So when they were talking about this, I was very mad because we have like groups that were supposed to read this thesis and discuss before we have like a general class where the professors will come out and talk on this thesis that we have already read. So when I was discussing with my group in school, I was very mad. I was arguing with them. I was like, why must it be only African that they will pick? Although they mentioned like Asia, that 99% of kids in Asia, South Asia, if I'm not wrong, South Asia, that they also live in abject poverty. So when they were mentioning the African part, I was so mad. I was arguing. I was like, no, it's not like that. It must not be Africa all the time. Why must all these books have to do on Africa? Why must it be that everything they're talking about has to do about kids in Africa? So guys, I was very, very mad. But what happened? So when we now had the classes, for the general classes, that the professors were going to talk on these topics, on all these theses that we've read. So the professors they started. So when they were explaining everything, why they said that kids in Africa, why the authors that write the whole book and the thesis, why they wrote the way they wrote, why they were arguing on that is the 99% of kids in Africa, they live in abject poverty. When they did the whole explanation, when when the classes was going on, guys, I just have to put my anger. I held my anger and I put it inside pocket, and I was not even able to even raise my head because I've already argued a lot with my group people. So what am I heading to? When they start talking about these things, I get to know that people in the Western world, for example, this Sweden that we live in, I'll use Sweden as an example. People in Sweden, their government, everyone that has anything to do with kids, partake in making sure that no child lives in poverty. So when they were counting this percentage, lo and behold, kids in Sweden that they mentioned is just 1.1%. When I mean 1.1% of a child that lives in Sweden, you can see how small. So when I mean like 1.1%, you will see that the number is very, very small. It's like nothing that lives in poverty here in Sweden. So when they start explaining how the government, they play their roles, how different sections in the society play their roles to make sure that no child lives in poverty, you will see that they're actually contributing to making sure that no child in their country lives in poverty. First of all, in Africa, where I come from, we always base everything on government. The government are not doing this, and the government are not doing that. You, as a teacher, as a medical practitioner that has to take care of kids, pediatricians, nurses, you that is working in any section that has to do with kids, what are you doing to make sure that no child around you lives in abject poverty? You don't necessarily need to give them money. You can call their families. Like, if you see some things that are not the way it's supposed to be, you can call these people, their family, have a meeting with them, talk to them. Why is this child dressing like this? Why is this child not having food coming to school? Okay, there's a story my mother-in-law told me, because my mother-in-law, she's a retired headmistress. She has headed a lot of school in Enugu. So she told me a story that when she was a head in one of the schools, one of the primary and secondary school, the one she headed last, and other schools, that some kids used to come to school. When they are teaching, some of them will just be one place crying. And they are not crying because they don't want to come to school, but they are crying because they are hungry. That this has happened several times. Okay, what she would do, she would just call them, go outside. If you're from Enugu, or if you're an Igbo, you will know. She will go outside, buy okwa for them. This is a popular snacks in Africa, in Nigeria. She will buy for them, even if she don't have so much money, she can buy you water, or if she have money, she will buy with cola and give them. They will eat. After eating, you will see these children, they will be happy, they will be excited, they will relax in the class, they will listen. There's another story she told me as well. A child that comes to school with looking tattered, with a tattered school uniform. Lo and behold, when she called the parent that is taking care of this child, she got to find out that this child is living with her aunt, that the child's parents lives abroad and sends money to this child, but the aunt used the money instead to do some other things, to take care of her own kids, leaving this child alone to be coming to school with on rags, not feeding the child well. The child will be looking very hungry. So what am I saying now? If you don't go in any of the sections that you're working with kids, if you don't go in to see how you can help these children, we cannot just leave everything to government. We can do our part in the little area that we are. So that is why here in Sweden, if you are studying any course that will have to do with kids, if you are going to work in anything that concerns kids, be it in teaching, be it hospital, once you are going to work with kids, you are going to do this course that I'm doing, and they are going to be taught on this kind of things, know the way how child's poverty affects kids, how you are going to help out in your own little way, in your own little section, to make sure that no child around you lives in abject poverty, how you are going to contribute in your own little way without even going to the government, or without even escalating that the government have to do this or the government have to do that. I know very well the government, they play a vital role here in Sweden. They do measure, they make sure that the kids, they are lacking nothing. They take anything concerning kids very serious here in Sweden. But notwithstanding, even we in Africa, I know that our government, they are not doing much, but we can still, what I'm heading to now, we can still, in the little ways that we can. So far you are working with kids, I'm not talking about adult now or general now. So far we are working with kids. Make sure that a child that is close to you, you can try as much as you can. I know things are not moving well now in Africa, but make sure that you can help a child that's around you, that they don't live in this abject poverty, by asking questions, by even contacting their parents, making sure that their parents know that the way the kids they are living is not right. Help them in the little way that you can. I don't know how to, but it pained me so much. I was almost shedding tears when they were reading all these theses, when they were just analyzing everything. I was like thinking of what my whole mind was just on the kids in my country. How are these kids surviving? Who is looking after them like these kids in Europe? Who is thinking about them? Who is considering them? Who is thinking on how to help them? It was so touching, guys. So guys, please, let us in our own little individual. If you know that you work with anything that concerns kids, try in your own little way. Like the example I gave about my mother-in-law now. Try in your own little way to impact on these kids, guys. So guys, this is so touching and very saddening. So I'm very sure that this is why our last presidential candidate, Mr. Peter Obi, was fighting tooth and nail to make sure that he becomes the next president of Nigeria, which unfortunately did not go well. But I'm sure he wasn't fighting this battle because of his family, because of his kids, because I know his kids, they are not living in this kind of poverty. But he's just fighting this battle for the younger generation. But since he was not able to obtain the position, we can just start from the little way that we can. I know things are not moving well. Some people will say, if I go and buy the person food for the person, what will my children eat? I know it's hard, but try in any little way that you can to impart on these kids. There's some of these kids that don't even have the hope of eating 3 square meal. What am I even talking about? They don't even have the hope of eating 1 meal a day. So guys, let us just be human and help in any little way that we can. There are a lot of people who are able to see some kids through school. There are some people that are doing it now, and they are not richer than those people that can still take on so many kids and take care of them, cater for them, their schooling, their clothing, their feeding. There was a lot of wealthy people in Nigeria that can do this kind of thing. So please, if you're one of those people and you see this video, please let us impart on these kids. Let us help these kids in any little way that we can. Let us make their life better, a little bit better. I know we're not going to change the whole situation, but let us start from somewhere, guys. Thank you so much. Please try to share this video. Share it to anyone that you think that want to see this video in any part of, not only Nigeria, in all the African countries, in Asia, anyone that you know that needs to see this video. We need to at least start from somewhere to start putting an end to this child poverty. Thank you so much for watching. Bye, guys.